Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our December 7th executive committee meeting of the Committee Board 11. My name is CB Santiago, I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is to be called to order at 6:39 p.m. We're joined by our assistant district manager, Lee Nixon. In order to conduct an official meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. One, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, CB11 members, if you have a question or if you make a comment, make a motion, please raise your hand, wait to be recognized. You should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Means members attending via Zoom can find the raise hand button by first clicking the participant's icon to access the panel where that button is located. If you have any technical issues, please relay your difficulty to staff and the chat. Please keep your question and comments brief and on topic for discussion. Thank you. With that, we will now, members of the public, if you have a question or comment on the subject on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now call the roll.
Okay, committee members, there normally are a total of 12. We have one that's excused for tonight, but we do need 7 for quorum. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Stephanie Arroyo.
Present.
Adem Brija.
Present.
Jessica Elliott. David Giordano. John.
He's in transit. He'll be here.
Understood. John Green is here virtually. I don't know, did John submit a form previously before?
He did not present, but he will be excused. He's here with us virtually.
Understood. Giselle Malave.
Present.
Nilsa Orama.
Present.
Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Isaac Scott, I see, is also here virtually. I don't know if you provided any other information before. Jason Villanueva is excused. Michelle Wilshire Clement.
I'm present.
You have 7 present.
Okay, we have quorum. Thank you very much. Okay. Seeing that a quorum is present, we'll now continue the meeting. The agenda for tonight's meeting is distributed ahead of time to the office. It's posted on the website. Meetings. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. 4 members, if you object to adopting the agenda, raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Seeing no objections, the meeting for the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Moving forward, the minutes for tonight's meeting from last month's meeting were distributed ahead of time. If there are any objections to the minutes, please raise your hand. Okay, no hands raised. The minutes from last month's meeting are officially adopted. Any announcements?
We do have an Oressa Napper Williams from Not Another Child who's supposed to be providing an announcement. Oressa, are you currently present with us? Are you able to unmute and give a report? Hello, Oressa, can you hear us? Yeah, I don't know if you want to with acknowledge or move forward.
Yeah, we Oressa, you've been given permission to unmute. Would you please unmute?
Yes, I can hear you, Xavier.
Great. You have the floor for your announcement from the public.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Oressa Napper Williams here, Not Another Child. Thank you for this time, Xavier, to come before the board and the others here. So Not Another Child is hosting a winter wonderland in East Harlem for our youth here. We want them to experience another type of winter, another type of Christmas. And so we, along with various organizations here, SAVE, Union Settlement, MAPS, the TA from Jefferson, Urban Upbound, Jobs Plus, is a few of us are going to be hosting, once again, a winter wonderland on the 21st of December, which is a Thursday. But we want to do it, and we're doing it outside in the plaza area. We're decorating it white, blue, and silver, and all of those pretty things. But we still are in need of some support, whether it's volunteers, whether it is hosting an activity table. We're doing activities such as apple dipping and wreath making, and families creating their ornaments. And so we do have some information. If anyone is interested, please shoot an email to info at notanotherchild.org, and we can definitely get back with you to see where you can support it.
Wonderful.
Thank
Appreciate you being here. It's good to be on the planning call. Very excited to bring a little joy. Now, when is the rain date? Or if it is,
I don't know what the actual date is, but we said, Xavier, we said Three Kings Day.
3 Kings Day. Right.
Yep. So I have to look on the calendar and see what that actual date is. I'm not sure how much rain we may get. It may be a snow day. So as soon as we get that date, we will get that date out there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other questions from the board members?
That's it for me.
Hi, I just wanted to know the actual day is, the rain day is Three Kings Day, but what is the actual day of the event?
Oh, December 21st. Mm-hmm.
So when we say,
Yes.
when we say Three Kings, we mean the actual day of Three Kings, the sixth, right?
Yes, that would be Saturday, January 6th for us.
Okay.
A lot of events going on.
That's Gaza. Right?
Wonderful. So rain day. January 6th. Okay, great. There are no other questions. Thank you so much for joining us.
John Green has his hand raised.
Yes,
Thank
John.
you.
You have your hand raised? You had a question?
Yes, I do, Xavier. Thank you. Where is the location of this event?
The location will be the plaza in the middle of Jefferson. It's like the little street. I want to say about 113th, 114th, between 2nd and 3rd. We'll also be planting a Christmas tree there because the one that's there doesn't look nice. But we're going to put a Christmas tree there also and do a tree lighting. So it's right in that round circle where the Catholic church is in the plaza area.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
112, that's 113.
Right?
That's
Okay.
There's kisses.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for a great
You're
question.
welcome. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any, okay, that's good. Any other announcements? I don't see any hands raised. Yes. We'll now move on to presentations and discussions. Informational update regarding the Sendero Verde A development project, phase 2. Do we have L&M development partners on?
Yes, present.
Yes, present.
Wonderful. You have the floor. We have allotted for you about 15 minutes. If you get done earlier, even better. But looking forward to this update. Very excited about this project and the partnership.
Definitely. Hold on, I'll just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. We are here to present Sendero Verde, the second phase of the development project, which is the A building, which is this taller structure that you see in this picture. There are representatives here from the joint venture, which includes Jonathan Rose Companies, L&M Development Partners, and Acacia Network. So before we get started, we're very excited to be here. We're very excited to make this announcement to the community, and we definitely appreciate the executive board for having us. So quick overview of the development team. As I mentioned, it's a joint venture. So Acacia is one of the JV partners. They are the nation's leading Latino integrated care nonprofits. Their work includes primary and behavioral health care. They also have a track record in housing, development, and rehabilitation. Jonathan Rose Companies is a leading developer and investor in sustainable, affordable, and mixed income multifamily real estate. And L&M Development Partners is also an innovator in that same real estate space, developing high quality, affordable housing, mixed income, and market rate projects.
Thank you.
So just a quick overview of the project. Again, so we are here to talk about the SVA building, but the project in itself is located in Harlem, specifically East Harlem, between 111th and 112th Streets, and between Madison Avenue and Park Avenue. So here you can see an aerial shot of what the original site looked like at the top right, and the bottom right, you can see a more recent aerial shot with the development in progress. And this effort began as an NYC HPD Sustain NYC RFP. And so part of our project, which we'll discuss, is a large focus on sustainability. So as I mentioned, we're here to discuss the A building. We previously announced the launch of the lottery for the B building, which are these two buildings east of building A, which are fully leased up. And here we're here to discuss building A, which is wrapping up construction. So an overview of the project. So building A, which again is this larger tower here, is a 34-story building. It's 348 units of affordable housing. It also includes 18,000 square feet for Harlem Children's Zone on the second and third floor. It also includes about 2,500 square feet for Acacia Arts, which is also located on the second floor of this building. There's about 4,000 square feet of ground floor retail along Madison Avenue. And then there's also, the project also connects to the publicly accessible courtyard. There's a portion that is specifically under construction right now that is associated with the A building, but will connect to the portion that's already associated with the B building. So some recent updates on the project. As of the end of November, we were finishing the pouring of the sidewalk along Madison Avenue. So that sidewalk is set to reopen soon, and there'll be no sort of construction barriers in the way. We're currently working on finishing the fit out of the second and third floor, which is that Acacia Arts and HCZ space. Interesting note, on the third floor, once that HCZ fit out is done, it will actually connect to the existing HCZ space that is part of the B building. So it'll be one continuous school structure. And then we are also completing apartment walkthroughs, which essentially means as our construction team gets done finishing apartments, we have our architectural team check the apartments to make sure to do a quality control before we mark those units off as finished. And the final update is that we are anticipating a spring 2024 construction completion. So I'm going to pass this off to our partners at Acacia to speak to some of the workforce and contract diversity.
Great, thank you, Dylan, and good evening, Community Board 11, Chair Santiago, and esteemed community member. It's a pleasure to present this exciting project. My name is Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm the AVP of Communications and Development for Acacia, which is one of the co-developers, as Dylan just mentioned, and we will also be providing supportive services. We're also the supportive services provider in the building. Regarding our workforce and contractor diversity for the project, in keeping with MWBE guidelines and commitments, to date, we have awarded $32.9 million in contracts to MWBE businesses. The original goal was $17.1 million, so we have far exceeded that goal. We're excited to confirm that 11 of those awards are MBE for $25.5 million, or 78% of the awards. And then 17 are WBE, equivalent to 7.4 million, or 22% of the 20 awards. In terms of training and local hiring, we've trained approximately 100 Community Board 11 residents in courses such as construction site safety, OSHA and SST, NCCER core classes. And we've also placed 35 Community Board 11 residents in employment positions such as laborers, helpers, and flaggers in trades that include superstructure concrete, labor leasing, masonry, plumbing, HVAC and mechanical, electrical, carpentry, drywall, roofing, flooring, all the good stuff. That is it for Acacia's presentation here. I'll pass it back on to our partners.
Hi, everybody. This is Nicole Zakak with Johnson Rose Companies. Unfortunately, I was not able to join the Zoom link to present virtually, but I'm dialing in. Just making sure everyone can hear me okay.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So I have the pleasure of speaking a little bit more about our lottery process for Sendero Verde Phase 2, as well as speak to some of the finishes and units within the property. So we're happy to announce that the lottery for Sendero Verde Phase 2 will launch in December. We're hoping in the next 2 weeks. This new development will bring 348 affordable apartments to East Harlem. And of those, 276 will run through the Housing Connect lottery. Similar to the first phase, 50% of the lottery units will be reserved for Community Board 11 residents. Within the property, we have 5 income tiers ranging from 30% to 110% of area median income. And of the units, 60% are at or below 60% of AMI. You can find out more information about Sendero Verde Phase 2 lottery at Housing Connect, as well as on senderoverdenyc.com, which will be launched with all the lottery information and the advertisement, how to apply once we go live. We're making sure to spread the word about the lottery via, of course, CB11 and the council member's office, as well as through e-blast and media publications, as well as more localized advertisements in the neighborhood. We're going to reach out to community boards and other community organizations, including NYSHA. On our next slide, you can see some renderings of a sample 2-bedroom unit at Sendero Verde Phase 2. Our apartment features will include stainless steel appliances, refrigerator, stove, range, and dishwasher, all which are Energy Star and all electric. In addition, we're really happy to continue our commitment to working on the digital divide by providing free in-unit Wi-Fi, as well as free Wi-Fi at all amenity spaces at the property. And Sendero Verde in its entirety will be one of the largest certified passive houses in the world, which leads to quieter apartments for our residents, as well as cleaner and filtered air in all apartments. And I think I didn't mention in the second slide, the units at Sendero Verde Phase 2 will range from studios to 1 bed. Studios, excuse me, to 3 bedrooms. Those studios, 1 bed, 2 bed, and 3 bedrooms. The building will also have a strong suite of residential amenities. On this slide, you see some photos from our Phase 1 amenities, which our residents are absolutely loving, including a computer and library lounge, a fitness room, a terrace space, and community lounge. In addition to those amenities, we also will have laundry facilities, bike storage, and on-site property staff. This phase will also complete the landscape courtyard that is in the center of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 development. This courtyard will be open to the public as well as residents during specific hours, typically 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. during winter and fall, and 8 to 6 during spring and summer. And those will also, that courtyard space will also open once construction is completed and we receive the TCO in spring 2024.
Thank you, Nicole.
And with that, I'll pass to Dylan Gibbs at L&M to conclude the presentation.
So just to bring it all together, what is happening in the near future, as Nicole mentioned, is that the lottery will be going live. Once it actually goes live, we'll be able to follow up with the community board to let you all know that it has gone live, as well as share some of the advertisements and publications that are going on, as well as reach out to some of those community board organizations that we have received from CB11, as well as reaching out to other organizations such as the contacts we received from NYCHA. And then in addition to the lottery, in spring 2024, as mentioned, we anticipate that construction will be complete and that the leasing for the building will begin shortly after that. So we're very excited about SVA coming online, as well as completing the entire Sendero Verde project and really opening up the courtyard to the entire community, for the community really to fully benefit from this project. And with that, that's our presentation. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to discuss it.
Any questions? Steph?
So I have a question on the bike storage. With everything that's going on with bikes with the lithium batteries, are you guys taking that to account? And like, is this storage gonna be something that is conducive to that?
So I don't specifically have an answer to that, but I do know that our property management staff is very aware to that issue. And I believe they have provided guidance about the types of bikes that can be stored on site because it is a safety hazard for all of our residents.
Granted, but I'm just wondering if you guys are taking into account, since it's newly constructing, right? If maybe that's something that you guys can take into account, because there are a lot of people who live in this district who use those bikes, and since there's no, like, we don't know what's gonna happen with these lithium batteries, it's still gonna have, like, people are still gonna have them, like, maybe that's something you guys should consider. I mean, I don't know how far in construction you can do that, like, but if it hasn't been built yet, I think that's something you can take into account.
And sorry, just to be clear, are you asking for storage specifically for those type of
What I'm saying is you have bike storage, right? I understand that in your building that's already built, you can't have bikes that have lithium batteries because you're not prepared to deal with that. But this building isn't built yet and it will have a bike storage. So is it something that you guys can consider to create a storage where bikes that have lithium batteries are still protected, where a fire doesn't cause damage to the rest of the property?
No, I think that's a great point. I think if it's any comfort, the building is, I mean, it's almost under construction, but it's fully sprinklered. I think a lot of thought goes into the fire rating in between rooms so that a fire in the bike room cannot quickly spread to other areas of the building. And I think the policies that Dylan mentioned of our property management company is trying to figure out how to allow people who have I think it's called UL certification, like the safer certified types of batteries in e-bikes that can be safely stored, and just trying to enforce not having bikes in the building that lack that certification, that are more prone to these very scary fires that we want to avoid.
Okay. Thank you. Jose?
I had a question about the certified, what was it, certified passive housing, right? Can you go back? I believe that's based on like heating and cooling, mostly efficient windows. A lot of the construction phase of it, actually, I forgot, they put it somewhere, it's sort
It
of.
was a couple, yeah,
there's a couple the other way. Maybe there. There we go, the largest certified passive house building in the world. What exactly makes it, I'm just curious the steps that you guys took. I know obviously you have the solar panels, but I was curious what you did for heating and cooling that makes it certified passive.
Well, I'm happy to speak to that, and then others can chime in. So the passive house certification, you're right, it's mainly based on, it's a lot about heating and cooling. It's making sure that, the building is not using more than, I think it's like 4.75 kBTU per square foot per year of energy to heat and cool the building. So the way we've done that, the heating and cooling systems here are all electric. It's through VRF systems with condensers located kind of on a porch we've built. All the windows are triple glazed, which helps the building stay extra insulated so that it doesn't get drafty and like cold in the winter and doesn't get heat coming in the summer. Aside from the windows, the facade of the building is built with a lot of continuous insulation and is sealed to be airtight. And all of that is just making sure that, you're not losing heat during the winter and you're not gaining heat during the summer, so that you don't have to spend as much to heat and cool the building using the mechanical systems. the project as a whole, when you look at both phase 1 and 2, is setting some records for largest multifamily passive house apartment complex.
They're expensive windows. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Sal.
My question is, can you speak more on what the Acacia Arts is?
Did you hear the question?
That's right. Gabriella, are you prepared
Sorry,
to?
yes, I'm on mute. I'm on my phone. So for those of you who may or may not be familiar with Acacia Network, as was mentioned during the intro, we are an integrated organization, and one of our pillars is arts and culture. And we like to incorporate arts and culture into a lot of what we do. At Sendero, in fact, just recently, if you go to the courtyard, there's some murals that are being installed. And there's also going to be, right now it's sort of a white box space, but it's going to be a multi-purpose cultural space that will be part of the building to engage the community in diverse arts and culture initiatives. And this is something that we do in other developments, such as Acacia Gardens, which is also in East Harlem, and it was built by Acacia. So the idea is to really incorporate cultural programming and arts broadly, right? TBD, once that space is ready. But it's really for the community as well.
And will the community?
So as the plans develop.
Okay, so the community will have access to this space, correct?
So again, that's TBD, right? It's not going to be it's not going to be a community room, if that's what you mean. It's not an open community room. We're still drawing plans as to what that space will be, but the idea is that it will be an arts and culture space, sort of multi-purpose, and with the idea of engaging the community, right? But we still do not yet have a concrete plan that we can present to you, but we will do that as soon as we reach that phase. We're currently seeking funding to build out that space.
Okay, so since it's not in the works yet, can you guys find time to present to Economic Development and Culture next week, if possible, or sometime after the holidays, so that we can help you create, I would say, that vision for what the community needs and what we already offer? And is that possible?
We'd be happy to meet with you. I will go back to the Acacia Network leadership to discuss what the timeline is, and then we will reach out, sort of once we have our ducks in a row.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
Nelson.
Hi, Gabriela. It's Nilsa.
Hey, how are you, Nil?
All right, sweetie. Hope all is well. A quick question. So I just wanted to follow up on the Acacia Arts. So I know that in Acacia Gardens, I know that Gus has done activities with the residents of Acacia Gardens and does it seasonal. So is the Acacia Art Space considered to be not only working possibly with Sendero Verde tenants, if that's the case, and you mentioned the community, are you thinking of potentially incorporating activities such as Loizada does in the Lower East Side with this community, like borrowing from some of the affiliates and their ideas to bring it further uptown?
Yes, certainly the idea would be for this to be, as we envision what this space is going to be, our full intention is to take into account what the community wants, right? With Community Board 11's input, and incorporating not just the work of what we do through affiliates such as Loisaida and other, even art space, which you mentioned, that Barrios Art Space in East Harlem as well. There's a lot of interconnections that we can bring into the space, but the most important thing is going to be drawing on community input. We can say that, again, we are seeking funding to build out that space, because right now it's going to be a white box, right? And there's a build out that needs to happen, and plans in terms of how it's going to be utilized. But we have presented proposals, and we look forward to soon engaging Community Board 11 with more info, and of course, getting your feedback on what you'd like to see and the community would like to see.
Thank you, Gabriela.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Angel has his hand raised.
Oh, Angel, hi. Your question?
Hi, folks. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Dylan. Sorry I couldn't be with you guys there this evening, but it's good to see you. And also greeting your team. It's been said a million times, but Sendero Verde is an incredibly important project to CB11. We worked really hard in helping to, inform that project from before there was even a vision for it, and before, frankly, your development team was selected. So it's really great to be seeing it now, just about complete. So I want to congratulate you all on all of that work. And also to request formally on behalf of our office and our leadership, a tour of the facility now that it's, just about done, so that we can see what we've all been anticipating for all this time. That so many aspects that were informed, previously by the community, that, are now being realized by this project. I'd like to see them, which is, it's great and enjoy them. And I'm also excited about the arts and cultural space that was just referenced, and engaging with that conversation as constructively as we've engaged, prior conversations around this project. So just thank you for a couple of minutes. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Just to speak to that quickly, we would definitely love to provide a tour to CB11. So we're already on an email thread for this presentation, so I can follow up there to schedule that tour. Next.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angel. I was just about to ask that. And one more thing, Dylan, would you mind sending this presentation over as well, so we can incorporate it in our minutes, please?
Yep. Angel and Marlene should have it, but we can forward it again.
Yeah, we have it, and we've posted it to the website.
Okay, wonderful. So I can put the hyperlink in this. Thank you so much. Awesome. Wonderful. All right. Without that, thank you for the update. We look forward to having a tour, and we'll move the agenda along. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
So much.
Thank you. Happy holiday.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Exciting.
Next, we have a request for funding contribution for the 2023 East Harlem Holiday Tree, which occurred last Friday. We have Kathy here with us, who is no stranger to CB11.
Kathy Benson. Kathy Benson.
Like make it automatic.
Kathy Benson, so you have Kathy Benson in East Harlem and Kathy Haskins on the west side. And I try to be Kathleen Benson Haskins, but that's too much for anybody to say.
All about the brand.
Get one for you. And I have, we don't have the professional photographers work yet. So these are more than just committee members. Didn't want to leave you out. Miscounted. Anyway, we did have it on Friday, a very rainy Friday. Even though we had a rain date, and
No worries.
reasons were several. I would say the primary one was that we were partnering with Union Settlement on the pop-up ice skating rink in White Park. And I don't know all the details, but my sense is that they couldn't move that, it had to be on the first. And so therefore, once they were going ahead, we did too. Another couple reasons, we had a wonderful Santa, Greg Walsh, who was the tree man, is a great Santa. He could not have come on the 8th. He could only come on the 1st. And he is being, he's the subject of a documentary film that is being made, and that's going to air in December of 2024. And they covered the tree lighting event, and that way we got East Harlem's holiday tree into this documentary. And further, Genevieve Andre was the subject of a Japanese television program that took her to, they photographed her working with, the North, the senior citizens at Franklin Plaza, the North program, naturally occurring retirement communities. And then they covered the tree also, and that's supposed to air, I think, next week. And for various reasons, we just kind of wanted to go ahead. It was fun anyway. I mean, by the time I got home, even my underwear. But there was, the Chinese lion dancer was fabulous. The fellow who served hot chocolate and cornbread was wonderful. He brought his own table and put styrofoam sandals on the table, and he was really great. And then the young mariachi group and the Planeta del Barrio, it was really wonderful altogether, and people had fun. Now, we're aware that since we said there was a rain date, and maybe some people believed us, because it was raining, that there will be several of us out at the tree site tomorrow evening. And we will have the flexible, bendable Christmas toys that Santa gave out. We have an abundance of them, and we will give those out and explain everything. Yeah. So that is that. And I had submitted this request for funding a while back, and for various reasons, it just didn't get discussed till now. And I did not know at the time, I asked for $1,500. I did not know at the time that you had incurred some major expenses with this hybrid meeting that you have to do. And I didn't, so I did not know if you were going to support us, but I didn't want to leave you off the funders poster in the program. So I put you under major funder. And that is 500 and up. So.
How much do they want? 15? Okay, so thank you so much. Are there any board member questions before we jump in? Yes, for a second.
Motion, I'm just kidding. We have, what is our budget?
Yeah, what do we have? Angel.
Where's our treasurer?
Yeah, sorry. Angel and I had a conversation, we were breaking down, he's been working very diligently on all the costs and appropriations from our council members and the change and funding and whatnot. And we had come up with some, a couple scenarios, but the main one is that we could appropriate from executive committee. Remember, we adjusted the process to make sure if a committee takes a position, then it would come before this body, because then we have a second oversight and then they would get voted at full board. But we looked at this executive committee, potentially economic development and culture, because that's where it typically would go if it's supported, and then housing, because they have not anything in the queue at this point in time to have an event of sorts. So that's what we were able to carve up and discuss for an allotment. Are there any questions? Giselle, do you have any objection to that, or?
I don't. I saw Kathy a few weeks ago and she had already kind of prepped me and said, I'm gonna go to present the holiday tree lighting. And you know, as every year, she comes since I've been on the board, and she's requested this and never seen a problem.
Nelson, did you have a question?
So I understand that housing doesn't have anything in the queue, but that doesn't include housing on plan, something before June 30, that they may decide to use those funds. So I'm wondering if there's another committee that you know definitely is not. So for instance, office oversight. Office oversight has not met. But if all committees get $500, I would assume that office oversight, or has office oversight been kept off the carve out for 500?
Why don't we, I see Angels on screen, so.
Licenses have it?
You're muted, but.
See, Dan also brought up like licenses.
If I get it, we'll get, I think we've done this before, we just give it.
What, Angel, you wanna?
Yeah, so I had sent a note to every single one of you, explaining what allotments were, possible this year, So you all are aware, or should be aware. And like, as Xavier explained, the suggestion was those two committees and possibly housing. I see that housing is not present this evening. So we allocated $4,000, so that would be $500 for 8 committees. And a few committees were needed to be left off because we didn't have enough money. And in the spirit of the support that we've given the Holiday Tree in the past, we wanted to figure out a way to be able to support them again this year. So this is the idea that we came up with. So no, oversight, budget, and forgot one other committee were not allocated, but most of the other core committees were.
Licenses got 500?
Hold on.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at, I got too many emails.
Says housing, 500 per 8 committees, housing, EST, EOSB, human services, ECODAV, youth, land use, and executive.
Off the record, send me an email. I'll give you 500 for my business.
Okay. Do we have any questions
But we
on
could
that?
take that addition.
I see all the names here. If you want, I see all the names here. I'm surprised you haven't ever come, guys.
Oh, well.
Why don't we
there's
table
always
that?
next year.
Why don't we table that for next? So are there any questions with the appropriation? I see John. John, do you have any opposition to this? As Chair of Housing? John?
I have no opposition to it at all, none.
So what we're gonna do,
Housing executive and EcoDAP.
Yeah.
That's
That's
$1,500.
1,500.
Let's, I will entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion.
Michelle? Your motion?
I motion that we give the tree lighting ceremony corporation
Committee.
$1,500 from EcoDev, licensing committee, and who was it? then?
Hey, you shut it down. Do you want a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Second, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be out. Now, what time will be, tomorrow, can you repeat it again? It's just for minutes. People are gonna be gathering to hand out toys again tomorrow, no?
Yeah, we'll be there about 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay, all right. Okay, just put it right. All right, thank you.
Tomorrow, you guys keep choosing wrong days, huh? It's not today, right?
A little bit.
All right, wonderful, thank you so much. Kathy. All right, we'll now move on to committee chair reports. I know we're very early and thank you very much.
The protocol is that I now leave.
No, you can say it's a problem. Yeah,
Okay.
But you can,
I mean, I don't know why you wanted to.
you should leave.
Yeah, you should leave. I would leave if I were you.
you might get a little dry. Policy. We're gonna move along, committee chair reports. We are a bit early in the month in the calendar, and so we've only had Second Avenue Subway, Environment, Open Space and Parks, Housing was canceled, Youth and Education and License Improvements. So we're not gonna be able to cover all the chair reports for this month's meeting. If there are chairs who would like to just cover basically what they're gonna hit on their agenda this month, that is fine. So I'll kick us off and just go in order of the calendar. Second Avenue Subway Task Force, we met, had a very good discussion, presentation by Joseph O'Donnell from the MTA. He's going to follow up with a lot of unanswered questions that he didn't have information, especially as it pertained to what is it, not Lakeview, but yeah, Franklin Plaza, thank you. He is also going to arrange for us to have a tour. We didn't get to have one last year to see the 116th Street station underneath.
In the spring.
He's hoping the spring, but if we have some warmer days, come up
Is
earlier.
it only committee members, only members from that committee?
I think it's board leadership, or well, I'll get specifications. In general, they're trying to work with Franklin Plaza to figure out what's going on. They are speaking. He's gonna get in contact with the attorney who's dealing with So the chief counsel of MTA is also is dealing directly with the attorney for Franklin Plaza and make sure people are on the same page. And he's working with us on the street level and he wants to make sure that translates up at the legal level. And so, yeah, we're waiting for some feedback and more information. We have the presentation, it's on the website. And that was it for a second. Leslie Colon, who is one of our public members who lives in Franklin Plaza, is working ardently to kind of bridge that gap with the residents who live there, especially when concerns to asbestos abatement, the gas plant right there and the water heater that have gone down. So that's the update for right now. We do not have anyone, guest is out today. Housing was canceled. Youth and education, David, your report.
Yeah, so we have one motion. It was a follow-up of resolution that related to testing the air quality in schools. As we have, various asthma, there's a lot of pollutants in schools, and so there's a resolution that came out of District 2, community CEC 2, and CEC 4 followed up, and then we brought it up in youth and education as well, that we should continue the testing in schools of the air quality for youth. We did have 4 other presentations. It was like kind of a long meeting in terms of presentations. Really, it's all informational. We did highlight children's aid, youth and education members that spoke at the full board, gave a little bit more in-depth presentation of their upcoming event on the 15th at Lexington Academy. All are welcome. I don't know if did you receive the invitation? You should have received the yeah. We had Capital Prep come and just the new principal for Capital Prep introduced herself. I actually know her. She's worked with my wife at AIM Charter School at the New Visions Network. Interesting. We've also over the last few months have had as we talked about, Urban Dove who's going to be taking over the AIM Charter Schools. So in following up, one of our goals in the committee this year, as we've been real deep diving with DOE public schools, that we're going to do a lot more work with charter schools as well. So the new principal from Capital Prep wanted to introduce herself. She's going to maybe come in January and do a more formal presentation. We also had NIAM come and present on the intergenerational work around youth and gun violence, which is interesting because that's also what we presented as our topic. Who else did we have? We had New York Junior League that's been in this community for many years, working with Union Settlement, I believe it's 1908 or 01.
They worked at the Museum of the City of New York.
Yes, and
in 59 up until about the 70s.
So they recently, and they also working with Scan Harbor, they recently identified East Harlem as a community that they should concentrate on putting the efforts into supporting, looking at other. What was really good, Russell kind of led the discussion, is how can other entities in East Harlem apply for Junior League to come in and provide mentors or programming as they do. So they do they may do some small capital projects at a community center or a school, or they'll do programs. What they do at both Scan Harbor and Union Settlement is that they do work with teenage girls, primarily work with girls, middle school and up, and elementary work with boys and girls, around educational program, career development and mentoring as well. Who was the last person we had? Who was the other?
Legal services. Manhattan Legal Services.
Oh, yes. We also talked about the addressing how they can support families and youth around the chronic absenteeism in schools. And what was interesting is all 4 of the presentations kind of had a thread that went through it around youth, gun violence, services, and addressing those kind of services.
Thank you.
When your event is?
Our event is on the 15th. It is at the Lexington Academy from 5 to 7. On the flyer, there is a survey that we ask that you complete. There's questions geared toward both adults and children. Okay, wonderful. Also, I do want to just recognize that Children's Aid on Tuesday, now this you should have got an invitation, is inviting their elected officials for Harlem and East Harlem to kind of give just a summary and discussion about the services that we all have. locally in the community, in both Harlem and East Harlem. So they did mention community board members, so I figured you might have got it, but if not, I'll reach out to Michelle or.
Thank you. All right, great. We have license and permits next, but since we have the action items, do you want to address it? Then?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, great. So we'll go to Human Services real quick. I know you haven't had your meeting. Isaac, do you want to just quick drill down or just table it until full board?
Gotta give him permission to speak.
I think he's in the, oh, there we go. Isaac, you're muted.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Isaac, you just muted yourself.
You're good.
Wait.
Hello, my daughter.
There you go.
Sorry, what did, we doing chair reports? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I know you haven't had Human Services. Do you just want to give a quick debrief on the agenda?
We have one presentation. I don't have that before me. Forgive me. But most of the meeting is really the one presentation was intentional so that we would have time to speak about some of the, I guess, the strategizing we want to do as a community, as a committee rather, excuse me, to tackle some of the different topics across the human services sort of scope of work. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Forgive me.
No worries. Eco Dev, municipal.
We haven't had our meeting yet, but we have, besides our informational updates, we have mostly old business. And to speak on the city of Yes, our recommendations to send to land use, I think that's gonna take a lot of the time as well, being that it's such a lengthy, document. And then also, like I said, old business, like a quick discussion on retouching the area of Target and who's going to be taking over that space, or trying to get in contact with, like Nosa mentioned to me earlier, Rafaela, to see if there are any potential leases that are coming up. And
You know, it's interesting, when somebody mentioned the whole Target, maybe it was you, right?
Maybe.
Urban Dove needs a space, maybe they want a big space.
Oh, you were
for
talking
school.
to have that school there.
Right, and they're looking to
No,
have,
that
right,
yeah.
there was one,
So we're talking about
so
that.
maybe that's something we should.
We are open. In fact, I had a meeting with a couple of stakeholders, and what I would recommend, the two things when you have a meeting as a finalist into your for November's meeting. I've been emailing back and forth, Rafael Traffic, finding time to chat and get updates. Several community members recommended the Applebee's spot that perhaps IHOP could go there. That would actually do well. Others have made certain recommendations. So I think whatever you have, discussing what the potential could be for new stores there. The city of Yes, I would also look at especially the committee level of the economic impact. How long it would take to online, are these really removing barriers, are they putting new ones, it's gonna be beneficial, longer corridors and, being on First Avenue for your business, the challenge. Then, you can put your heads together with that and really break down, on that, so that's great.
Nelsa gave me, she made a copy of an email that she received yesterday, and I find it's really helpful so far. It's feedback from community board meeting in 12
Oh, wonderful,
questions and answers. So
that's great.
thank you.
Excellent, land use, landmarks and planning, Nelsa, do you want to, Jason's up here.
We haven't had our meeting yet, it's next week, and I believe that, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I believe they're going to be discussing the city of Yes. And to only any questions that we have for us.
All right, public safety and transportation, we just lost Jose.
Xavier,
Yes,
I could add on for land use.
yes, please go ahead.
So yeah, so Nelson's absolutely right. So George James is going to give give us a presentation on City of Yes for economic opportunity. We're also going to have a presentation regarding a land use application for 14 West 124th Street. However, that application, what they're seeking to do is an adjustment to this, the East Harlem Special District, which would touch, the special 125th Street Special District, of which a couple of properties are in our district. So the application was also referred to us for comment. So we're going to have a presentation on that. And then at full board, I don't know if it was mentioned yet before I jumped on, but we'll have public hearings on both City of Yes with DCP presenting briefly, because the full presentation is half an hour, and also a public hearing on the West 124th Street without a presentation. And the committee the board will have to vote in December as well on 124th, but has until January to vote on economic opportunity.
Great, thank you, Angel. Yes, Giselle.
Angel, you sent an email saying that we have until the 12th of December to send our feedback to land use. Can that date be extended somehow, like until after the holidays?
Sure. I was just trying to give a little urgency so that we can submit them to DCP and hopefully get a turnaround before we needed to vote in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ASAP, but you would like it by the 11th.
Ideally, but if you need more time, I'll just let me know and we'll wait. I was just trying to push.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Angel. Appreciate that update. With that, we will just now public safety.
Ooh, troublemakers. The safety forum went very well. Want to give it 30-second?
People came. We delayed things a little bit, so we had a little bit of time to communicate at the very beginning, which ended up being helpful so that people had time to actually come, sit down. I stopped counting at 47, so we might have had more, I don't know. I wanted to really concentrate on what they retired, and he likes having that part of it. Retired Assistant NYPD Commissioner Kevin O'Connor as our,
Commissioner Kevin O'Connor of Youth Strategies.
I didn't get to that youth strategies part. And he just really gave the meat of what we needed to hear. And everyone was just spellbound for a while. And then afterwards, we gave like a 5-minute popcorn of cookies of information with Concrete Safaris, with Silicon Harlem, with Save, with, and there's another person I'm probably forgetting.
District Attorney's Office, you forgot there.
Yes, I did, street corner. And I apologize profusely to them, because that would have evened out everything, having the district attorney's office speak. And I failed to bring them up, and they did not raise their hands, and so that is a huge faux pas, because everyone started to really talk. And that's what we wanted. They chose the smallest room, we had 3 rooms, and they chose the smallest room for the interactive lunch part.
You went over your 30 seconds.
And that's it.
It was a good event. I counted at 58 people, I think it was. Yeah, that was nice turnout. We kind of, we're right on Kathy, borderline with Kathy's event, sorry about that, Kathy. Next year we'll, and a lot of people ask for Saturday, because a lot of people are working. And they ask for Saturday, should be much easier for a Saturday event. So we'll take that into account for next year. It was disheartening information to see how much has happened in the last probably 3 years. Kids with more than 3 or 4 arrests have tripled in percentages. I mean, there were kids with 10, 14 arrests. And it was, it was information that was hard to digest, but needed, because this community needs to know exactly what's happening. He spoke about schools letting kids out early, 12 o'clock. I mean, because he says it's time clock. As soon as they get out of school, you'll see shootings an hour, 2 hours after that. Keeping programs in our community accountable, not just for what they do with kids at a very young age, but keeping like gyms open till late at night, keeping these kids like doing something and off the streets. So it's definitely something that it worked out great. We're looking forward to it. We're gonna keep doing it every year. We're gonna keep innovating it every year, so we look forward to that. We also recently, we haven't met yet, but we had some issues with Bronx 35 bus, I mean M35. The MTA announced to us that they're moving it from 126th to 125th, just because. We had asked for committee and the full board ratified it more. It was for more stops in Queens and in the Bronx. And they said no to everything we requested, but then they decided to simply move it to 125th Street. For everyone that's driven through there or walked through there, you can no longer, if you're going on 125th Street westbound, you cannot make a left turn on Lexus. It's illegal. They put a do not turn sign. They did that because of public safety issues with pedestrians and the kind of pedestrians that are there. And now all of a sudden, a car that's what, 10 feet, 12 feet, depending on the car. It's it's a public safety issue, but now they're gonna have a 30, 40-foot bus making a left turn there, and that's okay.
And they're in the bus lane, aren't they, one over, so
They're one over, so they're going to have a stop in front of like the Blumenfeld building there, Gotham, I think they call it. And they're going to have a layover there, then they're gonna come over
It's already.
two lanes. And it's so frustrating, I'm trying to keep my language to correct. But Xavier and Angel had fun of me at the email that I sent out. But the fact that they're going to fight oncoming traffic, because 125th Street is a two-way street. And the fact that they're probably gonna block when they make that turn, that traffic. Meanwhile, on 126th Street, it's a one-way street, it's just an easy turn for them. So I'm not really understanding where this change is coming from, and we're asking to look at it again. And it is on our agenda, and it's probably.
Wonderful. We look forward to that, it's a robust conversation. Okay. Moving on, we will cover the.
You
draft agenda.
Something that, one of the things that was mentioned in the report by the New York Academy of Medicine with kids around safety was, there was a high degree where kids did not feel safe with buses, and particularly female. So, one of the suggestions when they presented before was that they should also come to public safety as well, so.
The recommendations and point to add to it. Thank you, David. We have our draft agenda. Again, we don't have any motions or positions that have been taken from some of the other committees. You'll see right here, as Angel already alluded to, the two land use applications, public hearings. We'll have environmental open space at their provide a letter of acknowledgement for West 85th Street playground reconstruction, and motion to provide a letter of support for CDC services monitoring reporting for air quality. The rest of this we will have tonight. We will have the rest of licenses and permits that'll be added in. That is not part of the OCM approvals, but in any additional items from our committees that are meeting later this month. And if there are no questions, I'm going to move this along to license and permits report.
All right.
And then the ratification of cannabis retail dispensary license. And you can give.
I'll give a quick,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, so we met last night. I'm sorry, the reason we're meeting tonight is we asked OCM for an extension. If, basically everyone who came, I don't know if it was everybody, but we had applicants come in November for cannabis licenses and we didn't have our procedures in place. So we asked them all to come back. But because they had submitted their 30-day notices and we apparently didn't ask for it. I attended a meeting last week, Xavier asked me to sum that up, the challenges and difficulties we're facing seem to be, I for once could say the whole city seems to be having the same issues. It was this committee, my committee's approach was to adopt SLA's procedures for the most part and tailor them. In fact, I think me and Xavier spoke about potentially putting forth a resolution that kind of solidifies that. The idea here is that we have a system in place that works for the most part. What SLA has done really to empower boards with the stipulation forms is that it becomes a part of your liquor license, meaning you have a contract with the community board and you have to abide by it. So we took all those procedures into place and we put them into OCM's, our process for OCM. We're hoping they do that on a bigger scale. We had liquor licenses last night. what I'm happy that our committee is doing is we have so many applicants come all the time. It's hard to remember who's who, but we're starting to get better at remembering whether they're 311s or not, who's been a problem place in the past. And just because they're not a problem now, you gotta keep your eye on that. We had there was a place, El Gnocchi, that's been a problem in the past, right? There have been tenants that have come in here saying they were like afraid to go home. We actually asked to have them shut down and they didn't. I will say pleasantly enough, they only had like 5 311 calls in the last 2 years. No tenant showed up to complain. I welcome to the public, but we still didn't like that they were continuing to close at 4 AM. So we got them to agree to, I think, I wanna say 1 AM on the weekdays, but their music has to go off by 11 and 2 AM on the weekend. So it's definitely an improvement. They were open to making that agreement with us. They have to sign the stipulation and resubmit that, so now they are held to that. We did have a place with like 89 311s, and I was like, well, but you just hear the number, you gotta see the whole story. They went down a lot. They bought somebody who works with, I think it was a 23rd precinct. I was like, you got the wrong precinct, but like, at least your intentions are in the right spot. And their calls have gone down dramatically. They've only had a few this year. The thing I will say is, we reserve the right to bring you back in at any time. So there's an every 2-year process. But if we get a call from a tenant or anything and says, we're not waiting 2 years to have you come back, you'll come back. And so with, just on that note, with OCM, we're making it 1 year. So if you get approved, you have to come back every year. For like 2 or 3 years, it's like a probationary period, and then we'll go to 2. We had all our procedures out. You know, I like to say this is a very like fact-based committee. It's like when people fill out their forms and they have the right intentions and they do the right things, we like to be pro-business and give licenses. So we went by our procedures. Everyone, there were people from the public. Everybody was given an opportunity to comment, ask questions. We had, I don't know, let's say 9, 10, 11 applications. A bunch of them did not show up, did not submit any documents. We kind of were aware that this could happen. Some had the same address multiple times.
I saw that.
And that's been a thing, like in other communities, I've heard like there've been like 10 to 15 applicants for the same address. So landlords they're like saying, okay, basically whoever gets it will get it. And we were like, we're not doing that. We're not here to like let the landlords play a game. I mean, because so we said lease in hand or a deed. Now your lease could say, if you don't get the license, you could back out. I'm not expecting anyone to sign a 10-year lease and not get a license. We're only gonna entertain one person. I think that scared a lot of people away. But you know what, we're here to just talk to who's serious. So we had, I believe, 3, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say, but I don't think that's at fault of the people that are coming to apply. I think some of them don't even know that there's other people applying
Right.
with the same address.
Right.
The landlord's doing like conditional
But
leases with different people.
But if we say we're 1901.
Yeah.
Right? That's a business, right?
Yeah.
What are there, 3 businesses in?
So they're basically, because it's nobody knows who's gonna get a license, right? It's like a lottery process. The idea is like 5, I heard at this meeting, you asked me to attend last week, Xavier, that one board had like 3 groups show up for the same license. They approve for the same address. They approved them all. And then they're like, right, so, and I hear what you're saying. So what we've done is we've been very transparent. When you apply, you get Marlene will send you a thing that says exactly what you need. And one of that is like proof of site control, whether you own the property or have a lease, not a letter of intent, not that. So if you're not gonna have a lease, now it could be a lease that allows you out if you don't get the license.
Like
That's
a conditional.
a conditional lease.
Okay.
But what we just didn't wanna do is have, 6 applicants for the same address, and then that becomes problems for us, because one of them could say, no, I had a lease, or I had an LOI, and I'm sorry, we're not here to be like lawyers or whatever, so we're trying to just, and I'm gonna be honest, right, like, after 2 hours, we see it with full board, like, people start to kind of like drift, so we're trying to like get it down, spruce here, and we really did what we said. We had our procedures in place. I believe 4 applicants came, they showed up, they answered all the questions. Our big thing was asking, will you commit to 50% local hiring at a minimum? They all said they would. I said, it's gonna be an ongoing thing. So like, if there's word that you're not hiring locally, like you opened, you had 50%, and then like 2 months later, you're like, oh, we have 20%, and like, no, you're gonna be called back. And now, it's not gonna be like if you drop below 50, we shut you down. But you telling us what is your plan to get back to 50? When do you plan? Come back, and then we're gonna hold you accountable to that. And like I said, it's a work in progress. You know, if anybody has any questions, whatever, but I thought the meeting, considering it was a new thing and everything, it went as smoothly as I could expect.
Separate? So we're gonna go through the ratification.
We have to, I'm sorry, I forgot to really touch on that. So OCM was basically gonna just go by the 30-day notices that have been submitted to us. And I remember I reached out and we spoke about me, Xavier and Angel. We thought it was very important because if we didn't meet tonight, we were not gonna have a say. And so I was like, I said, whatever we need to do to get this meeting on the day, because I think it's very important that the board has a position on all these applicants, right? So, that's why we're really here tonight, you know? And that, we're only gonna do the OCM stuff, because the liquor, and there was one street activity permit, they submitted no documents, so we had to deny them. Those will just go on the full board, because they're not time sensitive, they're just status quo.
So is it, we're gonna take a position tonight.
On OCM,
Yeah,
just
on the
license.
OCM. Yes.
I will say, I'm sorry, I'm looking, and I don't have it in front of me, I didn't bring my computer, that, I think there's, applications missing from this sheet. I know, I think there's some people that were there last night, and I don't see them on here.
Hold on, let me go to.
This issue, because you were looking.
I can clarify, guys.
Okay, am I looking at?
Angel?
No, you're not looking at the wrong thing, but nothing's missing. These 8 are in November. The committee passed a motion requesting an extension of the review period that we submitted to OCM, and on these 8, OCM refused. They said that the window for us to request an extension had lapsed. So thus the urgency to get a comment in before losing the opportunity, as Adem was explaining. So these are the 8 that OCM did not give an extension for. We're trying to get them in as quickly as possible. That's why they're on tonight. The balance of the OCM positions from LMP that we're still within our window, you'll see at full board.
Thank you for that, sorry.
No problem.
Steph, you had a
I have
question.
2 questions. So basically, we will only look at businesses that come in with a conditional lease, right?
A lease or a deed.
A lease or a deed, but it could be a conditional lease.
So we didn't use the word conditional, but yeah, I mean, it's a lease.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, sorry.
If you own a business, I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you give out like multiple conditional leases?
Yeah. An intent to lease, you can give out.
No, that's a LOI, so that's a letter of
But a
intent.
conditional
I'm talking about, so you could give out a lease that allows somebody out of it. That's between the landlord and the tenant. So the landlord could say, here's a lease and it's contingent on you getting a license. If you don't get the license, then you are legally able to break the lease.
Can the landlord do that with multiple people at the same time?
I mean, theoretically, they could.
Okay, and then
And we would not hear them out. If you come in with a lease and it has that term in there and 2 people show up, we're not gonna play favorites. We'll listen to both of you.
got you. And then my other question is, back when this all started, that there were unregulated shops.
Right.
And OCM sent cease and desist letters to these shops.
Right.
And according to OCM, these are the shops that will not get a license.
Right.
Do we have a list of those?
We don't, so it's funny you bring that up. There was one and they're not on, that's why I saw this list. There was a place called Lamb's Bread. It was one of the applicants. And it said cannabis, and there was concerns right away, like, oh, they've been open. They had a hemp license. They had a legal hemp license. They were only selling hemp product, which they were legally allowed to do. So cannabis, when you see the word cannabis, right away, everybody thinks that's like a dispensary license everyone's applying for. There's hemp and there's THC. These licenses. And there's CBD. So the licenses we're really talking about right now for dispensaries is to be able to sell product with THC in it. Recreational.
But they've never given out license for hemp, or did they give out?
They
license?
did, these people did have, yes, there have been licenses, and they had it. So we don't have a list. We've taken into account, if you have opened illegally, this committee will not give you.
But how would we know, I guess?
They had to initially apply through the state.
No, but how would we know if we've had an unregulated shop that's been open? Maybe they've closed down now and now they're trying to come in legally or whatever, like if we had an illegal shop that was open, we all knew about it maybe by passing by, but there's never been like nothing documented that they were selling cannabis and they come to us, how would we actually know?
I see. So I guess until that point, the committee and OCM itself would be conducting those investigations. But from what I'm aware of, and I don't have the specific language in front of me right now, and I'll try to find that for you. But we've been advised that any business that has been operating illegally is exempt from applying at all. When you apply to Office of Cannabis Management, you have to come in with actual documentation, legitimacy.
So the ones that may have gotten a cease and desist letter, they may be already rejected because they know.
And they're
Right, exactly.
But someone who may not have gotten a cease and desist letter, but has been unregulated selling, or we kind of have gotten complaints, that's the only way we could stop it.
I see what you're saying. So like, I guess like say if Joe Schmo, you know, was selling illegally and so forth, they have to send that application through OCM first, and then we receive it from you.
And if OCM doesn't know that it's an
Well,
unregulated
then
shop.
that would fall on
On them,
OCM's,
yeah.
you know,
But if we knew
investigative
here, I
process.
guess, if we knew here, because we live in the area, we walk around the streets, we see these streets, so if it comes to us here, I guess.
So I'm gonna let Angel speak because he'll give a little bit better. Angel?
Thank you for your confidence. I don't know how much clarity I can give, but to what I think Stephanie was getting at is like, like you live in the neighborhood, you're in the neighborhood and you're seeing stuff. So Adam's absolutely right. We do not have a list, right? And to, investigation and all that, like that's not the kind of entity that we are. We depend on the input from the community that we receive. We have not received that input from the community. Like there could be 1,000 illegal shops in the neighborhood, but no one's calling the community board and saying, hey, this place might be operating illegally. And the city or the state that are receiving these complaints or, are pursuing action against places that should not be in operation are not providing that information to the community board. I'd be happy to, compile a list. And if you have locations, please send them our way. You want to point us in a direction that we can go and, attain those addresses, that would be very helpful. But to answer Stephanie's question as clearly as possible, we do not have that information and it's not being provided to us.
Thank you.
Jose?
I've actually seen, I'm not sure if it was NYPD or law enforcement, but definitely some NYPD was involved. And I've seen them going into illegal smoke shops and
They're doing,
confiscating everything.
so they're doing raids.
I don't know, yeah, so I've
Yeah.
seen a
But
few
they're-
raids already.
They're being,
So
it's not fast and
it's not,
it's not good.
Nilsa, sorry, had her hand up earlier, and then Giselle, and then I'll comment about the rates. Go ahead.
So just so I'm clear, have any licenses been approved for opening of these shops? So for instance, on Third Avenue on 106th Street, between 106 and 107, there's a shop that opened up there. On 119th Street,
No,
and 100.
There's no
the
legal
ones-
shops in East Harlem.
No, yeah, no legal shops, and as far as I know,
These are illegal.
right, and as far as I know, the ones that we approved last night, none of them were operating illegally.
Yeah,
The
'cause I
one
find
was a
this-
hemp, and trust me, when I saw they apply, cause I live here, I drive by there, I see cannabis, and I was like, wait a second, but they explained that we asked them, cause we're like, wait, aren't you open already? And they're like, we have a hemp license, we're only selling hemp product. Well, we could do, look, our agendas go live and everybody can have access to it. I mean, I'd be happy to do as much as Angel said, that's not really what we're here to do.
Yeah, no.
But I understand your concern, and I mean, like, I'll do the best that I can to like check, I mean, somebody could be operating a regular place of sale, we don't really know, but we'll do our best. I mean, the idea here is that OCM is gonna catch this too, because it's not like you get your license and you get it for good, like, you get it and they find out you were doing that, they've been very clear that if you've done this, it's game over for you.
So, all right, then, thank you.
Sorry.
So you had a question?
No, I think that list would be very helpful, and if people can.
It can be like an open source
possibly, yeah,
document,
I think
kind
that
of.
would be helpful, because to keep track of that and,
I see Angels come back. Your question, sorry.
yeah, my question was about the hiring, right? So being that you're like, putting that requirement on them and like, you're not taking it for answer, like you have to hire locally, at least 50%. Is it allowed for when these, entities get approved and get the shot that they come to Echo Dev and announce that they're hiring? Is that like allowed?
I mean, of course, look, what I'll say, and I spoke to Angel because like I was like dead set on this 50% local hiring. He said to me that like we can only make it like, and Angel, correct me if I'm wrong, I hate putting words in people's mouths, but like we can't we can't really mandate it, right? Like, and what I mean by that is like, we can say it and OCM could still give them their license technically if they don't. What we can do as a board, right, we're advisory, is we can say, well, they're not in good standing with us, right? So, you know, listen, I think Xavier kind of touched on it too, and Angel, this is kind of honor-based system. It's been that way with liquor licenses too. We rely on the output from the community. I've never once been told that somebody said something as a chairs committee and I give them the floor. I think I've been accused sometimes of giving too much of the floor, but that's fine with me. I don't want anyone going home not feeling safe, not feeling whatever. I will definitely suggest they go there. Because like I said, we're looking to make this an ongoing thing. I think we've heard this a lot, and I think more of like the construction stuff. We not now, in the past, we've approved things and there hasn't really been the follow-up on it, right? Or whatever, and it's hard, but I am for the follow-up. So if that means us working in tandem, and you know what, it's not just, you know, because there might be challenges sometimes to hiring 50% locally, and maybe you could help them with those challenges. And what I said yesterday was, this is a new industry. A lot of times when we hear about construction jobs and everything, they'll come in and go, oh, there's nobody in this community with those skills. Well, you know what? This is a new thing. So I don't want to hear in 5-10 years how there's nobody in the community with skills, because that's a cop-out. So the idea is if we start doing this now, not only are we giving jobs, but we also said we would look very favorably on people who committed to training programs as well. And from what I remember of last night, the applicants that we approved were all open to all of this. You know, and full disclosure, a couple applications were affiliated with me. So, but I will just say that it was my dad who presented. He said, I'll try to hire everybody from here. You know, I mean, I don't understand. I run a restaurant. I'm going to end it on this note. That it's a benefit to the business to hire locally too.
Yep.
It's good to have people that are close by, you're in a jam, you know, and listen, when you're running a business, your bottom line is important, but you also got to be a good neighbor and do right by the community that you're in. But if everybody helps each other, I think that's when things work out well. So my plan is to hold everybody accountable. You can't come in here and say everything we want. It's like a first date. You know, you tell me everything I want to hear, and then 3 months later, I'm like, what the hell did I get into? So we're gonna hold them accountable, and you're welcome. I will refer them all to you.
Right, so I was gonna say, like, next step, present to Echo Dove.
But these aren't like high value
So-
employees.
All right, Jose, I'm gonna
No.
go to Angel.
Maybe 20, 30 people but maybe 10.
Angel, you wanted to.
Sorry.
No, I just wanted you to see my face. I think that open source document idea is a really great idea, and frankly, it would be, you know, a real help to the LMP committee as just, you know, like a quick cross-reference document. And to the local hiring, you know, obviously always, you know, that's a good idea. And you know, we have, like, perhaps as an opportunity, like, these are retail jobs, you know, maybe there are specialties within, you know, this kind of business. I don't know for sure. But if there are, you know, we have workforce development organizations in the district that are always, you know, preparing trainings, and if there's something specific that has to be done for that kind of work, then perhaps that, you know, that could be a pipeline for folks to get, you know, opportunities or to get trained up to be able to seize on opportunities if there are very specific types of trainings or preparation that people need to work in these kinds of establishments.
Thank you, Angel. And then you have one.
Yeah, I was just to piggyback on what Angel was saying. So I would assume the retail dispensaries are gonna be more, like he said, retail jobs, which is even less of an excuse to say why you can't hire people locally. And then I believe the micro businesses, which there will be applications for micro businesses, they have to grow their own product and sell their own product. So that's gonna definitely be an opportunity where there could be skills to be developed. And so that's just an important thing to keep our eye on too. All right.
Thank you, that's good. And the last bit before we start going through these action items, speaking with Sheriff Miranda, it takes about a week of time with all the paperwork and processing to execute a raid.
Yeah.
It takes that long for all the illegal shops. They do not have the manpower, and they would require legislative changes to enable other narcotics units to get involved outside of the sheriff. So it's a challenge that we have, and that's something that is urging everyone in the new year that we start taking more policy-centric positions going forward. Yes.
Would anybody know if announcements have been made or posted to just like a mass mailing or blast to a lot of the landlords in the area that may be renting to these shops, not aware that, like I say, I'm gonna open up this kind of shop, that I'm not regulated? Cause I'm curious, like in Third Avenue, right on 106th Street, like I said.
And the DA said they were gonna go after. the
Right,
last-
They were gonna hit 'em
there's
with
a store
fines.
that's open, that has a sign, cannabis and, oh, well, this, you know. And the landlord may have rented thinking that this was one of the shops that had, you know, gotten a license. So, and I'm wondering if there's a call for anyone who's opening this business, that a document has to be presented. Other than this, stating that they're a legit certificate.
But they would.
Yeah,
Right.
so I do want to move we're
Right.
at
I'm just
3
curious.
past 8. Khalid, you had a comment.
Regarding that formal first question or first part of the question, DCWP and the DA's office, they do make it a point to make sure the landlord is aware that there is a business operating illegally and that there are possible repercussions should, like, you know, say, for example, if you choose to extend this tenant's lease, there would be repercussions for that. I don't have the specific details in front of me, but as you're saying, that these individuals are made fully aware of
But
the
only
type of business.
prior, you know what I mean, like, they would look for this before you give rental to this kind of business.
You mean moving forward with the OCM?
Yeah.
I believe that they would be in contact before, but we can
look
make
into
inquiries,
that.
yes.
Let's move we can table the rest of this discussion for
I'm going to say good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Stay longer than
I'm glad I stayed as long as I did on birthday.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
All right, we're gonna move forward with the action items. I'll read them in real quick, if that's fine with you. Number 1, NY-THC Company, new application for adult use retail dispensary license, number OCM CAURD 2022-000852 for property located at 501 East 115th Street, New York, on Pleasant Avenue. The committee recommends this application be denied. Psychology LLC. New application for adult use retail dispensary license for property located at 73rd Avenue on 130th Street. The committee recommends this application be approved. Number 3, 118th Street Realty LLC, new application for adult use retail dispensary license for property located at 2292 First Avenue, 118th Street. Committee recommends this application be approved. Number 4, 115 Corner LLC, application for adult use retail dispensary license located at 345 East 15th Street on First Avenue. The committee recommends this application be approved. Number 5, Isabrija, new application for adult use retail dispensary license for property located at 420 East 115th Street, First Avenue. Committee recommends this application be denied. Please note the application was withdrawn. Number 6, NYCCL 3rd Avenue 2 LLC, the application for adult use retail dispensary license located at 1901 Lexington Avenue, 118th Street. The committee recommends this application be denied. Number 7, NYCL East 149th Street, 149th, 4 LLC, new application, adult use retail dispensary license, property located at 1901 Lexington Avenue, 118th Street. The committee recommends this application be denied. And finally, number 8, NYCL Lexington LLC, new application for adult use retail dispensary license, property located at 1901 Lexington Avenue, 118th Street. The committee recommends that this application be denied. Now, is there recommendation accepting the committee? Is there a motion accepting the committee's recommendations? Motion by Jose Altamirano, seconded by Michelle Wiltshire Clement. All those in support? Aye. Yes.
Present not voting.
Hold on, let me get through all those opposed. Any abstentions? Present not voting, the numbers, please.
3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5, present not voting. Hold on. The motion carries. Hold on, all right. And that was so saying. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. It is now 7 past 8. I'm gonna go out of order real quick before we jump into executive session. We will go to new business if there are no objections, and then back to the continued discretionary process. We have Malik McCullough, and hang in there, Vinny. We're gonna be getting to you next. I just want to break for this cleanly for the end of the meeting. We have Malik McCullough. Malik wanted to give a quick not presentation, but announcement and partnering with CB and the toy drive. Malik.
Yes. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? you know, Xavier tricked me. You know what I'm saying? Xavier was like, "Yeah, Malik, I'm gonna try to get you on at 6:40." Yeah, right.
Thanks for hanging in
But
there with us.
yes, so basically every year I kind of like give out toys, turkeys to the community. Um, this year I asked Xavier, it just came up and popped up our idea to see, how can I involve CB11 into something that we can do into the community. Normally, I'll just reach out to different shelters and see, who's in need of toys within that specific year. This year, we normally give out toys to like some in the Bronx and in Harlem. We never gave out any toys to anyone in East Harlem, but we have normally we'll do like our clothing drives and do that, in conjunction with Uptown Grand Central, um, every so often, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So I guess the goal is, or the ask is that if the community board would like to participate, that each member can possibly bring a toy, and we will partner with someone on the east side. I I think it's let me get the exact name. I think it's Green Lantern. I'll get you the exact name. I don't have it exactly right now, and I'll just be looking in. But the basic goal is for the community board to be a part of this special project and giving out toys to um people in need, and that's in shelters.
Any
Oh,
questions?
Exodus, I'm sorry. Exodus, traditional community.
Well, thank you, Malik. Are there any questions from the board members? So when would you want to hand out the toys by, Malik?
So, if possible, like anybody can bring them to the actual board office at any time. But if possible, that they can bring them out during full board, if they're able to get it by that time. Um, as far as handing them out, we'll probably, which is the 18th, I believe, we'll probably hand them out either the 19th.
The December
I would,
19th is
okay, so the 20th or the 21st, yeah, the 20th or the 21st, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. All right, any questions? So great, there's no oppositions, we can send out an email to all the board members, there's no. Yes, no sense of question.
So Malik, in the past, when I do toys, usually I'm asked to wrap them and then identify them in a corner, like if it's for a boy and the age group. Because that lessens any issues for the people that are giving it out that cannot wrap. Are you asking us to bring you unwrapped toys, or do you want them wrapped?
Unwrapped.
Unwrapped, okay.
Wonderful, so there's no pressure to participate, but we encourage if people want to. So great, we'll send out an email, I have no objections, if no one else does this committee. Sending over the board, and thank you, Malik, appreciate you presenting and for your work.
Thank you.
Wonderful, now we're gonna go back into old business, we're now going to continue discussion regarding the due process for members subject to removal for failure to comply with the attendance requirements. We have had no requests for hearings. We are going to go into executive session. We have one member of the public, Mark Dvorniak. We will be going into executive session, and when we leave, we'll be concluding the meeting. So we appreciate your attendance. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Moved by Michelle, second by Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We are now entering into executive. Great, thank you. We had a discussion regarding the attendance and adherence to the violent removal process, and we have come to a determination. Entertain a motion. No motion, Nelson, you have the floor. Your motion.
I make a motion, to incorporate a time limit of 15 minutes, to the start of the meeting. If quorum is not achieved within 15 minutes, that an additional 5 minutes is put on the clock, total of 20 minutes for the committee to convene a meeting.
Okay, to
To start meeting, and not the meeting is.
over at 20 minutes. Okay, so
15 or 20?
No, so the motion on the table was to, at 15 minutes, to call the clock starts ticking so that the chair has to read in the record, the 5-minute clock starts, and after 5 minutes, when they come back to see if there's quorum, and then we total 20 minutes lapse, that the meeting will be adjourned.
Why do we just say 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Because you have.
This is when we make it more
No,
complicated.
it's not, it will be adjourned, but you have to start because you have to read into the record that you have started, and then you have to roll call, and then you adjourn. You adjourn for a set period of time, so we're giving an adjournment period of 5 minutes.
See, so that's something new, because we never took attendance.
No, you always take it, yeah, so we've been giving as much grace. So is there a second to that? Are we clear on the motion? Giselle, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
No, I never oppose.
Okay, we have another motion that we're going to entertain. Okay, that is going to be our actions on those that were up for removal due to attendance. I will entertain a motion. Nelson,
I make a motion to notify each community board member on this list that they were subject to removal, that they are being advised that they could have been removed, and that going forward, the new attendance will be reviewed, and they need to come in person should they be an issue with their attendance going forward.
sure, okay, so we have a motion, should they or any other individual, right?
Any
Okay,
other.
so we have a motion on the table.
I'll
Neil said
second
to
that.
we're not taking an action to remove these members, they will be received in writing notification that they could have been removed, and that the attendance will be reviewed. And if they do come up, they will have to attend in person during the removal process. Second by Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. With that, we'll call the roll.
Jose Altamirano,
Present.
Stephanie Arroyo,
President.
Adam Bria,
Present.
Jessica Elliott, absent, David Giordano,
Present.
John Green excused, Giselle Malave,
President.
Nelson Orama,
President.
Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Isaac Scott is absent, Jason Villanueva excused, he's excused, excuse me. Isaac Scott excused, Jason Villanueva excused, Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Present.
That's it, Chair.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
9:35.
Thank you.
I know.
Everyone who was here tonight should get a.
I told Michelle to reach out.